And now we get to talk some baseball. He'll be in the booth again tonight. The great Grayson Greiner joining. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, it's once again it's such a challenge, because you're all my friends, but Grayson, you have to have excellent visual and listening skills during baseball season to be able to have Grayson and Dave on TV, and then you got Stu over here yapping in your radio, and whenever Derek decides to show up to work, no, I'm just kidding. Derek's in Missouri tonight calling basketball, and so those, Cade. So I don't ever know what to do. If I feel like, Coach Lake's screwing it up, I'll just mute him and turn you on. And Grayson boogered that up. We'll go back to Lake. It's a difficult task to get to June.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of dealer's choice, whatever you want to listen to. I'll say Derek and Stu have significantly more experience, and they are both incredible. So I would not blame you one bit for muting us and listening to those guys. They do great.
No, I told you the other day, you're doing an awesome job up there in the booth. Well, it's so great because, I think we've talked about this before. You see so much stuff that a lot of people don't see. They see the game, you see the game within it, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you better.
We were trying to do the math the other day. I mean, I just having the benefit of. I mean, I've probably watched or played in 3,000 plus games. 200 games a year for 10 years pro, and then you got college, high school. I mean, all the way down. So. It's like anything else in the world. The more you do it, the more you learn, and you hear coaches that go to these, national baseball conferences, guys that have coached for 40 years say they're still learning something new every single day. And that is 100% true. Every game you watch, you learn something new. And that's what makes baseball an incredible game. And I mean, a lot of sports, football, basketball, you learn something new every time you watch. So, I try and learn something new every time I get to watch Carolina.
It's easy to learn something new when they put a different colored base at first.
Yeah, we still don't know the deal with that, so we won't talk on it till we have it nailed down.
I'm as confused as anybody. Do a little baseball bulletin on Tuesdays. We did it earlier, Grayson. But one of the things for the second straight week, and again, I know that the competition hasn't been where it's going to be this upcoming weekend. Again, they've got Gardner-Webb here in a little bit. We'll hit on that in just a few moments with you, but. One of the things that this pitching staff has been really good about is keeping the leadoff runner off of first base.
Yep.
And just 27% of leadoff hitters reached first this past weekend. They were 5 of 9 in game 1, 0 for 9 in game 2, and 2 for 8 in game 3. Interesting enough, of the only 2 innings in which Milwaukee scored more than 1 run, so crooked number innings, of those 2 innings, both of those innings started out with a walk or an HBP.
Yep.
Quite on the flip side of that, South Carolina offensively had 5 innings where they scored 3 or more, big innings basically, and 3 of those 5 started with walks, and of course they turned into crooked numbers. This is alongside defense. I want to lump defense into this because they're the 3rd best fielding team in the league right now. They've only made 5 errors in 8 games, and 2 of them are just it's cold as crap outside brain farts. But that's a little bit of a shift, I would say, Grace. And these things have gotten them in trouble in recent years. Walks and HBPs, some critical errors out there that just allow big innings to develop. But so far, fundamentally, this team's been pretty sound.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. And like you said, I mean, if you force the team to get 3-4 hits in an inning to score and not give them free passes, and then you're also not making errors and adding to that number 27, you're giving them 28, 29, 30 outs in a game, it becomes a lot harder to score. I mean, I remember I told it on air the other day. Every year I played in pro ball, there would be a shoebox with a little cutout in the middle of the clubhouse. And if a pitcher had a leadoff walk or a 2-out walk, they had to put money in that shoebox because it's like the cardinal sin of pitching. If you have a leadoff walk or a 2-out walk, the percentages of that guy scoring are astronomical compared to, if it's mixed in the middle. It's just kind of a taboo thing. The only trouble McCoy got in on Sunday was I think he either had a leadoff walk or a 2-out walk every inning. He was able to pitch out of it I think 3 out of his 4 innings he was able to pitch out of it. but ended up having the 3-run home run after a 2-out walk. So they've done a really good job of limiting that. Becker last year, he always had the strikeout numbers. The only time he got in trouble was free passes. This year hadn't walked anybody in, 11 something innings.
Yep.
And that's key. You look at his numbers, and that's a good reason he hasn't given up a whole lot. So to your point, it's been pretty clean baseball from the pitching and defense side through 8 games now.
Yeah, 11 1/3 for Beck, 4 hits, 2 earned, no walks, 17 strikeouts, and Grayson, he's more than likely, I'd say, very likely, starting the game on Friday night in the Upstate. He's a local kid. And again, we'll talk a little bit more. We're going to get to Gardner Webb. That's Maneri will remind you. He'll remind you real quick.
You can't look ahead to Clemson. We got a game tonight.
Yeah, we're playing tonight. But because you mentioned Becker and that 1.59 earned run average, he's 2-0 here to open the year, and probably going to be on the mound in the Upstate. You can relate to this a little bit, although you're being a catcher, but you're a local kid, and you just came right down the street and played college baseball. He's a senior. And he's a local kid, and all of a sudden he's going to be in the Friday night role pitching against that rival. This is the best rivalry in the country. It's going to be quite a moment for him. Based on what you've seen this year, how do you anticipate he handles it?
Just watching him his first 2 starts, it doesn't look like his heart rate's above about 80. I think it's going to be a significantly higher being at Clemson. Clemson's got a really good team. They're ranked high. Friday night, it's going to be a packed house, but just watching his body language, and he's kind of got that personality. I've known Beck for years. We trained together at Athletes Arena. I don't think if he gets a big strikeout with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 5th inning to keep it a close game or something, we might see some emotion, and he'll occasionally show emotion. But I think being a senior on the road Friday night, you can't ask for much more just because that's going to be such a hostile environment against a really good team. So think he'll be up for the challenge and excited to see him in that environment and in that role.
What is he doing this year? Talking about we just talked about his demeanor. I get that. But from a stuff standpoint, what have you seen?
We were calling the game on Saturday, and I think he started like 15 guys 0-2. I mean, he's just pounding the zone early. When he got in trouble, like I said, it was just walks and free passes. If he's forcing, and it's not like Beck throws 98. He throws 90, 91, but he's got good spin rate on his fastball. He's landing his curveball and able to bounce it when he wants to. Haven't seen a ton of the new changeup just because he hadn't really needed it through 2 starts. Haven't started my homework on Clemson. I don't know if they're predominantly right-handed, left-handed, but if they got a lot of righties in there, we might see some more of that changeup. But I think the key 100% is just getting ahead, pitch one, and that's kind of something we've seen throughout the whole staff so far this year, and Coach Rooney preaching, getting action happening, 3-4 pitches or less, and not getting too cute with 2 strikes. That's keeping his pitch count down. It's keeping him efficient and forcing teams to, if they're going to score, they're going to earn it.
Pitch count, interesting. I haven't done it for the whole year, but I do have it from this past weekend. 439 pitches in 26 innings. Grayson, that's 16.88 pitches per inning. That's pretty good.
That's really good. Yeah. Rule of thumb generally is if you can be 15 or below, that's like elite, and that's pretty close to it.
Yep, absolutely. But I think that this goes to the greater point that you're just talking about Becker, but beyond Becker, while there have been some times, and this is unique. This is baseball. It's going to happen, but you walk a guy, or you get into some, you retire the first 2, and then you walk that 2-out hitter, and you're son of a, when you can throw strikes and throw in the strike zone, it is proven that guys can get themselves out.
Oh, yeah.
So if you feel like you're destined for a big inning here, you could get out of it in a hurry just by throwing strikes and hitting spots. And that equates into that 16.88. I'd love to compare it to the rest of the SEC. I need to go do that. But that's a really good number coming off the past weekend.
Yeah, go watch batting practice. If there's defenders out there, guys don't hit 500 in batting practice. It's just hard. There's eight guys helping the pitcher get you out. Just if you throw strikes, there's a good chance good things will happen. When you get in trouble, I probably sound like a broken record when I'm calling games. The only time this staff has really gotten in trouble through 8 games is free passes, hits, or walks or hit by pitches. Yep. When they're ahead in the count and making stuff happen early in the count, good things have been happening. As you said, the level of competition is going to go up here. We can't throw only strikes. You got to be able to work the edges, work below and above the zone. But generally speaking, good things happen when you're in and around the zone.
Yeah, opponents hitting just 148 against the Gamecocks staff, but behind the plate. So we're going to see Coffer tonight. I think he's going to get the start tonight, is my understanding. Bakes started on Sunday, and I think what was that? His third at bat, maybe in the game. The first pitch he saw, he hit it a country mile, deep out of center field. Somebody had just hit one 420. Was it Petrie that hit one 425?
No, it was Naraki.
It was Naraki. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was right behind him at 419, I think is what they had it at. All right. So evaluate that position now. I mean, again, we'll see Coffer tonight, so it's hard to give us a full evaluation. LeCroy, by the way, I want to give him a little bit of credit. I know if you look at his batting average, oh God, he's just not doing. He's hit a lot of balls right at people this year. They just haven't fallen. But as far as being a catcher goes, evaluate that position through 8 games.
I think it's been good. I think only one pass ball. I don't think we've thrown anybody out through 8 games. Some of that could be on the pitching, some of that could be on the catching. At the end of the day, done a good job with the staff. Really, really like what they're doing receiving and blocking. Like I said, I think LeCroy just had one pass ball on I think it was like a spinning slider high that kind of backed up on the pitcher and caught it off the heel of his mitt. But other than that, keeping the ball in front, doing, like I said, a really good job receiving the low pitch and the pitches on the edges, especially for a guy that hadn't caught in a while. Talmadge has gotten the majority of the games, and then Bakes came in, did a really good job on Sunday. Like you said, hit a ball a mile. Ultimately, you hear coaches all the time talk about the catcher position. They don't care if you hit 100. As long as you do your job defensively, you can help the team. It would be nice to hit. But Talmadge is doing a good job getting on base, too. I think his on-base percentage is up around 400. Coach Maneri was talking about he's got one of the hardest hit rates in the entire country for an individual. And then as a team, they're one of the higher hard hit rates as a team. And that's going to happen. It's been cold weather sometimes. And those numbers over the stretch of a 56-game season usually find a way of evening themselves out. Yeah. It's not fun to go through stretches where you look up at the scoreboard and your average isn't good. But if those guys just trust the process and continue to do their job behind the plate, which they've done a really good job so far, like I said, those numbers will even out.
Yeah, you're right. LeCroy's at 393 right there. Hey, for not hitting 100, having a 400 on base percentage, it isn't bad.
Walks the exact same as a single.
That's exactly right, man. What has been your opinion of the strike zone thus far this year? It seems like it's maybe gotten a little bit looser than we've seen in years past, but it's early.
The games I've called, I've actually thought it's been pretty good and pretty consistent.
I mean, are they getting corners based on your view?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the umpires aren't given too much off the plate, at least from my view and watching our broadcast view. It looks like, I mean, there's been some. I think Scobie struck out on a high pitch in the Sacred Heart series that was clearly high. Yeah. There's going to be missed calls and there's going to be wider zones, especially when games get out of hand. But I honestly think the 6 games I've called, they've looked all right. I didn't get to watch the Winthrop or the Queens game. But I think it's been pretty good.
Okay. I mean, I'm like you now,
To be fair, it's kind of tough. The TV angle, the plate is not square. The camera's a little off to the side. But just watching so many games over my lifetime, there hasn't been like a ridiculous amount of egregious calls. Let's put it that way.
Well, I like corners. Give me 3 inches off the plate. If I can get, if I get it, if I stick it there, give it to me. All right. Kennedy Jones is at some point in time, he's going to get on a heater. And when he does, if you're playing third or short, watch out. Because he is as powerful as anybody out there. So it looks like he's made a couple of adjustments this year. One of them, most notably, he's already kind of got his hands locked into a hitting position. There, last year they were a little bit more maybe off of his armpit, and but this year he's kind of got that front arm, Grayson, kind of already locked in position. But it does seem like at times, maybe I don't know, maybe his timing's been a little off. I can't really tell, But I mean, I saw a couple games in person. He seemed to be okay there. But I know they'd like him to be about a split second later than what he's been. He's been out in front of a bunch of stuff. He's also hit a bunch of balls hard, including a home run that was just ripped up in Rock Hill. But overall, offensively, I'm singling him out here in a good way because he's going to be the guy that they're depending on to protect Ethan Petrie. So give me your evaluation of Kennedy.
Yeah, I think he's been solid, but I think he's got a higher ceiling. And we saw, he was a really good hitter last year, and he's shown flat. I mean, we're small sample size right here. We were talking about it with Talmadge. We're only 8 games in. Like you said, sometimes when you have a little bit of a swing or stance adjustment, the last thing to come is timing. And to your point, I think he's working on that because on Sunday's game, he was in a 2-0 count and got jammed on a fastball and hit and flew out to right field. Yeah. Normally, when you get a 2-0, 3-1 count, you're geared up to the fastball. If anything, you're going to be early. So it shows that he's at least trying to let the ball travel a little bit further and make that timing adjustment. But like you said, once it clicks and, you start getting 2 multi-hit games, driving the ball with some power, then he can get on a roll a little bit. But, that's a tough position to be in, hitting behind Petrie right now because he's doing what he always does. The guy's incredible. So to be the guy that's tasked with hitting behind him, it's a little bit of pressure, but he's proven in the past that he's up to the task for it. And as once South Carolina gets into SEC play, he's going to have even more opportunities if teams don't want to mess with Ethan Petrie.
28 at bats for Kennedy, 27 official at bats for Petrie. My math tells me that's 55. And the two of them have combined for just 10 strikeouts. Petrie's only struck out 4 in 27 official ABs. He's also walked 5 and been hit twice. One of them was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And those numbers are down a lot. And we're going to talk to Monty tomorrow, actually, as a matter of fact. But those numbers are down a lot, Grayson. And when those guys put the ball in play, generally good things are going to happen. All right. One of the awesome things, too, and I'm going to get you out in about 3 or 4 minutes. I know you got to go. One of the awesome things that I've enjoyed here, too, getting to know Coach Maneri a little bit, a guy I think if anybody is a baseball dude, you probably would have enjoyed playing for him. But he's very much in trying to, as early as he possibly can, right, find roles for guys, get them comfortable, and make sure that that's who you're going to be. This is your role in this team. Let's do it. All right. So this past weekend, Sunday, shake the lineup up a little bit for multiple reasons. Trying to get guys going or whatever. But it does seem to me, especially based on late game production, it does seem to me like guys are understanding where they fit in and what their job is. Like when they're asked to do a job, this is your job. Yeah. You've been around these guys a little bit more, obviously, than all of us in the coaching staff. What's your feel?
I agree. I mean, it looks like there's a heightened sense of urgency with the competition. It's not – when guys come in late in the games, I mean, their attention to detail, whether it be the infielders with their timing of their pre-pitch hop, I mean, everybody's locked in on every single pitch. It's not like, oh, I'm not getting my chance to start. Let me just go out here and play. I mean, they are ready to go. You saw Will Tippett, who hadn't played in a while, comes in and gets 4 hits, plays a great shortstop. And that's what competition does. And Coach Maneri's, doesn't seem like he's going to tolerate any less. If you're not locked in defensively, you're not going to play. And if you don't, he talked about it in his press conference. He said, I don't play favorites. I play guys that earned it. And these guys are making sure when they get their opportunity, Ryan Bakes gets an opportunity to start a game, shows what he can do, catches a good game, hits a home run. When Jordan Carrion gets an opportunity, has a great bunt for a base hit, steals a couple bases, plays great defense. So that's good for a team to establish that depth and have guys wanting to get their opportunities to show what they can do.
No question about it. Their next opportunities tonight. Mason Manriquez is on the mound for Gardner Webb. He's thrown 6 innings this year. He's got 11 strikeouts and 2 walks. He's he's a well-traveled young man. He started his career down at South Florida, had a little stint in JUCO, went to Duke. Now he's here at Gardner Webb. He's an arm. He hadn't thrown a ton. He's an arm. We'll see how much gas he's got in the tank. But Jackson Susie will get the ball tonight for South Carolina. In your research, what do you know about Gardner Webb?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have not done my research yet.
All right.
That'll be this afternoon.
Tune into the first inning tonight.
I will not lie to you, but Dave does a great job.
Attaboy, Dave.
The beautiful thing about being the color analyst is half my job is I can just watch what happens in the game and talk about that.
Yeah.
But I also don't like to sound like an idiot up there, so I'll start my research here soon. It's been a busy first 2 days of the work week. So I will dig in here soon.
Okay,
I don't have a whole lot for you on that.
That's all right. That's all right. I can give everybody else at least the bullet points for the game. And then this weekend, obviously, we know what's coming. They'll head to the Upstate Friday. They'll stay in the Upstate and play in Greenville on Saturday, and then of course back down here for a 5 o'clock first pitch on Sunday. Grayson, Clemson did squeak out a couple of wins last weekend, a couple of close calls. Gamecocks have had a couple of those this year as well. This is the best series in the country. This one and Ole Miss, Mississippi State are the two best in college baseball. I'll maintain my stance on that forever. You played in it. That experience is certainly is something, but the results are not always indicative of what the rest of the season is going to look like.
No, it's not. It is a good measuring stick. Neither team. Clemson played in the that early season tournament with some big D1 schools. South Carolina hasn't seen a team of Clemson's caliber yet, so it's a great test of your team. And Coach Maneri, he's harped on it quite a bit. Some of these closer games they've had, it builds confidence in your team. The sure as heck is a lot better than losing some of those games. So they've continued to win those close games when they needed to, continued to build that depth. But Clemson has a really good team. As you mentioned, it's just a phenomenal series. The structure of it with one game at each site and then one neutral site game that rotates around. The fans are always great. Hopefully we get good weather. And it's normally, I feel like the Columbia game is usually the Friday night, Clemson Sunday. At least when I was playing, that's how it was all 3 years, I believe. But this year it'll be Clemson, Greenville, Columbia. So excited for this weekend. Can't wait to see how South Carolina responds to this challenge.
It's on the SEC Plus Saturday. Are y'all calling that, or is the drive?
We're calling Sunday.
I know you're calling Sunday.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's calling Saturday.
Not Saturday. I'm not sure what the deal is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grayson, we'll let you run on that note, man. Thank you for your time. I know you got a busy week, but we'll hear you tonight, 6:30 airtime.
Yes, sir.
For the Running Rebels and the Gamecocks, and then you'll be able to catch Grayson and Dave again on Sunday, 5 o'clock airtime for the Tigers at Ray Tanner Field at Founders Park on Sunday. Thank you, brother.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. There you go. The great Grayson Greiner, one of the best catchers this state's ever seen, big leaguer, and now one of the great voices of Carolina baseball.